one of the CHWs, I was training her, and she just looked at me and was like, this is really complicated. I said, this is why my Mondays I spend 8 to 10 hours in my office doing this every Monday. This is all I do on Mondays. This is all I do. And
yeah, if you can break that training up into pieces, hopefully, and raise their confidence. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm not going to do it like I was trained. Here, you got a password. Figure this out.
Yeah. And I understand where you're coming from on that. In my time of rescue missions, I founded a mission in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. I was the sole staff person for for first couple of years. So if it was going to get done, basically I had to do it. Or I could maybe get one of the program men as we got the program started that he could do things and I could train him to do it. So I understand the limited resources that sometimes we face in rescue missions as well.
Well, in my knowledge for like computer work, everybody thinks I'm so good at it. I'm not that good at it. I'm a retired plumber and pipe fitter. That's what I did for over 30 years. Industrial and commercial. That's what I did. I taught it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I taught it in an apprenticeship program too. So I'm like, no, I'm not really computer savvy, but I'm the best computer guy they got. Except for my son-in-law, I can call him up. He works like 2 blocks down. They call it Green Acre Ram, and they do a lot of computer stuff. I call him up. Hey, Ethan, I got this issue going on. Just do this, okay.
Yeah, and those resources that we can call and sometimes call in. I have 2 boys and 2 girls, and my one son is a computer programmer. So, you know, when I've reached a point where I don't know how to do it, he's the call that I make, and I've used him in missions I've served at times to work with some of the people. So that resource of who the volunteer may be to train other that has resources, the Lord provides ways without the money to sometimes address some of the issues when we can. We used we had one class at Sunday Breakfast Rescue Mission in Philadelphia when I ran the mission there, that we had the guys come in that was basic math. You know, they were fellas that didn't have their GED and they were working towards a GED, and they just needed basic math skills. And the fella that volunteered to teach that class was an engineering professor from Drexel University. And it got in these guys' head, hey, we're being taught by an engineering professor, you know. And it just stimulated them that much more to work on the math sometimes. So there's a number of opportunities there. But keep in mind that some of those things happen. Now, I have a little bit of a vested interest statement here that I felt I need to make. Whom do I work for? Pardon? The Lord. I work for the Lord, but there's an organization up there that I work for too. It's City Vision University. I don't work for Hobby Lobby. I don't work for Sunday Breakfast Mission. I don't work for GRMF. It's City Vision University. So I have vested interests here, and I want you to be aware of that as I'm sharing different things. One mission that we worked with came up with, and this was a larger mission that had a number of staff, and they wanted to develop people in 2 particular areas that they had need. One was in management and leadership. They wanted to increase their competencies of those people in being able to step up into leadership. The mission was growing. They were going to need to have more departments on different things, and so they wanted to have people that had those additional competencies. The other was case management. They were having more and more guests coming in, and their population was growing. And they had a number of counselors, but they were individuals that didn't have any case management skills, really. They called them case managers, but they didn't have the skills that were really needed there. So they put together 5 courses in each of those areas from courses that we offer at City Vision University in order to increase the skills of those people. Now, I would just say that it was cost effective for them because, number one, our tuition is about the lowest across the nation for an online course. We're better than Grand Canyon or Liberty, and we also give a discount for members of Gospel Rescue Mission Fellowship. So there's that additional discount. But when, in a number of cases, they were teaching these courses to people that had not been out of their program that long that they had hired, or people that were even, just at near graduation from the program. And those individuals qualified for a Pell Grant. And so the Pell Grant paid for the course and actually gave them some money back in addition to that because of where our tuition is. Now, Pell Grants are only applicable towards a bachelor's degree, and you need to be making under $50,000. That, in that case, about 75% of people qualify for Pell Grants. So certainly in our program graduates, an awful lot of them would qualify for these areas. But they could develop new skills in these different areas. One of the courses that I highly recommend to everybody is the one that's called Vocation, Calling, and Purpose of Work. I took it a couple years ago, or no, it wasn't even that. And I thought, okay, I really don't need this course. I've been in rescue mission for over 50 years. I've been CEO. I understand vocation, calling, and purpose of work. I'm at a different stage in my life now. I retired from my last mission, but I still wanted something to do. And lo and behold, that course was very meaningful to me about where I'm going in the next stages of my life and what God expects of me as far as work. The whole area it brought into question was the idea of retirement. In the U.S., we have in my estimation, very much of a concept that are not biblical about retirement. And we think, okay, I can retire, life of leisure, I'll take it easy, I'll fish or hike or whatever else it may be. God doesn't stop his calling on your life just because you maybe reach a point where you qualify for Social Security. The woman sitting right back there is a very good example of that, and how she continues to serve the Lord and to train others. Believe it or not, she's a little bit past retirement age. So Lorraine has taken on a lot of different things, so that's just one course that has an awful lot to say. I was in the class with a number of recovering addicts too, that are trying to improve themselves, and understanding the purpose of work in our lives that God has. Had an excellent textbook by Tim Keller, who passed away here recently, just this past week. But I wish all of program people could take that course and learn really the purpose of work that God has for them. Now, whether they would believe it and adopt it or not, I don't know. That's a whole nother question. But they developed 4 or 5 people into a cohort that then took these particular class at the same time. And then in addition to doing the classwork, they would meet for discussion at the mission and just talk about what they were learning and what it meant to them, how they would apply it to their particular situation and work. And so that was something that worked very, very well for them. One of the areas that we already talked about a little bit is if you're really developing a program, the idea of the competencies and developing a competency model. Depending upon how large your mission is and the number of staff you have, it may not be worth it, and you may not have enough time to do it. But certainly in larger missions, this is something that they're taking a hard look at so that they can develop the proper training and personal development program. So I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on that, given our particular situation. But just thinking of different competencies, if you need addiction counselors, you're going to want certain competencies. You're going to want them to be able to deal with family issues and recovery and case management and addiction and dual diagnosis and trauma and recovery. Or if you have program management people and you want them to have competencies of excuse me, nonprofit human resources or managing residential recovery programs and development competencies that are needed of nonprofit fundraising, grant writing, major gifts, and planned giving. Those aren't just competencies; those are all courses at City Vision University too. So whether it would be City Vision or whether you have another answer that you would look at, those are some of the opportunities. The other thing is about learning about how your team interacts and about themselves. Do any of you use any of these?
Use them in church, but
It's a great exercise, in my estimation, to take your team and to take the Myers-Briggs temperament analysis, because it's going to show you why certain people are butting heads together and help them understand the differences of their personality and how they process things. And it helped us to work together better. And so it increased that. There's several different tools. There's Enneagram and DISC. There's strength finders to identify where your strengths are. There's spiritual gifts tests that you can take to see just where your primary spiritual gift is. And then team profile, role preference is another one. I think this is a favorite one of Andrew Sears, the president of the university, seeing whether a person is more a person that wants to be on the creative side and developing things, or whether they're more on the stable side, they want to create the rules and the processes and the bureaucracy. Both are needed at different points in an organizational lifestyle. So these are things that can be quite helpful to you too. But let's bring it down quite a bit. This is going to be very hard to read, but this was done back in 2015, 2016 as a personal development plan for myself. And it was just a very simple format. I used the same format with the number of staff I had at that point to just say, okay, what are targets that need to be developed in my life? whether it was at work or I asked staff to do some things on a personal level too. Physical fitness was one of the things that I marked down. So I had a goal of running so many miles a week on the treadmill. Work-wise, I wanted to increase my relationship with the staff. So my target was to have lunch on one-to-one with each staff member during the course of the year, at least cover all of the staff during the year, if not more frequently, and to try to listen to them more. And so that was an opportunity. You could do that in meetings, but there's something about breaking bread together and just sitting down and having a more relaxed time there. So you can do it very simply on a one-page deal with some of your staff to sit down and talk about, hey, what's some things that you would like to accomplish, or where you feel a need to accomplish more here at work, maybe at home, maybe in your learning, whatever else it may be. One that I used in a couple of missions, and I realize you can't see this too well, is a self-assessment map to have a person take a look at themselves. And let me just jump to one of the arms of that map. I don't know whether you're a mind map kind of person. I tend to be, to create outlines and things of that sort. I use mind maps, and this is a program that can be free called Simple Mind. I guess it fits me that way, in Simple Mind. But for $39, you can get their Simple Mind Pro version, which brings a few more attributes to it. But here was one of the arms of that, in looking at education of an individual, that they could do a self-assessment. You know, what's the current status? Where are you today? What have you accomplished? Virgil was sharing with me earlier, before everybody else came in, that he's near completion of his bachelor's degree at Bethel. So that's an accomplishment, especially with everything else he had going on at the same time. So, but the question, what could use improvements? You know, what kind of goals are out there? What would I like to improve at? And to establish those goals for short-term and long-term, and how you're going to accomplish them. So that's one arm of that self-assessment. Another arm was more specifically on employment. You know, what is your position currently? You know, what have been your great accomplishments? What improvements would you like to see? And you can use this self-assessment just as well with program men and women too, to have them take a look and identify different things. And there's always something about putting it down in black and white in writing, so that they can have it and look at in the future. It just increases the power of it greatly. One of the other arms is just in the general area of self-improvement. You know, what are you doing currently to improve yourself? So you can take a look at that. One of the other ones, and you can argue maybe whether you should be talking to employees about this, but I think you should, and bring up the subject of health. How are you doing? I bring it up with rescue mission people quite a bit in seminars and other speaking I've done. For instance, when was the last time each of you had an annual checkup? You ought to be doing that every year. And with COVID, lots of us have got out of that habit. Well, I'm feeling okay. That doesn't matter. You need to have an annual checkup, just to check how things are going. So if there's, you ought to make an appointment, guys. I know Lorraine is working with a doctor currently, but for you ought to be doing it. At one stage, I was hosting a conference of the Association of Gospel Rescue Mission, And so I got to have a lot of input about the seminars that were going to be offered. And I got on the agenda a seminar on physical fitness. And we had people signing up beforehand. The only people that signed up for that was myself and the wife of the president of the association at the time. Nobody else signed up for it. Every seminar had 30 to 40 people signed up, but nobody else signed up. So I thought it wasn't a good idea to go out on this fitness trail with the wife of the president, so I canceled the seminar. But when I announced the cancellation of it, before the body, I also reminded everybody how many of our executive directors had had heart attacks in the last year and one had died. And how many of our executive directors are overweight. And that didn't make me real popular with everybody at the time. But we need to address those issues if we're going to be serving the Lord. The Lord has given us, this body. And I know we have a negative thought about it as the flesh and sinful flesh and all of that, but it's the tool that he's using. So I'll quit preaching here to you, but if you haven't got a physical on, line it up. And it's just a good question to ask your staff and
Well, even with
show them you care.
people in our program, I mean, that's one of the primary things that they've neglected all those years.
Excellent point. Yeah, definitely. So this,
Can I ask you another question real quick?
Yeah.
So as far as follow-up on this, like if you reviewed some of these key metrics with your staff, then how would you follow up with them to see that they're making progress in development?
in that one that I showed in my personal development plan, we set up a target date. And that's probably one of the things that this particular chart is missing on the long-term goal, how to accomplish a target date, a completion date. When do you hope to accomplish that? And having a quarterly, semi-annual review for that is what I would suggest, that you set up a time to do that. It's developing this self-assessment and using it as part of a personal development plan is a little bit like doing strategic planning. And the steps of strategic planning are normally you assess the situation, you analyze it, you design what you need to do, and you build a program that you're going to accomplish that, and then you manage it. So there's a similarity in putting together this personal development plan with putting together a strategic plan as well. You need to start someplace if you're going to do this. Again, you may say, in my situation now, I don't have time. Think of that matrix back at the beginning that we talked about, the urgent and the important, and it is important to the development of other people. And it's important to the development serving the kingdom in the long run as well. I shared in one seminar, I guess it was on strategic planning, that the Lord has allowed me to have staff at the various rescue missions, but 8 of those staff members at the various rescue missions went on to become CEOs of rescue missions too. And that leadership that they're offering and what they've done for the kingdom, I'm not saying it wouldn't have happened because God can do anything, but what he chose to do was we made it something important to help them get the training and the experiences so that they could move on to eventually become, a CEO in the Lord's leading. So start someplace. Whether you record the conferences people attend, or the seminars, or what their current education is, any of those sorts of things. And then it's the idea of, again, starting small. Maybe it's just raising the skills of somebody. You upskill or reskill somebody, something they forgot, like we were talking with computer abilities, to upskill them, that they're able to handle email and follow maybe a to-do list, that I need to check my email every day. There's a book I recently read, Good Power, Leading Positive Change in Our Life, Work, and World, by Ginny Rometty, who is the CEO of IBM. And IBM dropped their requirement for the majority of their applications on job postings of degrees, because they were finding people that were just had the skills or were learning other places but didn't have a degree and were the kind of applicant that they really needed. One situation was they started a program of a number of magnet high schools for kids that showed special abilities in computer skills and things of that sort. One particular young man almost got kicked out of school because he had hacked into the school's computer system, changed his grades, and reassigned the teachers to other classes, and locked the administrator out of the computer system so he couldn't change it too. So this was a guy that they tried to decide what the punishment would be, and they gave him an option of attending one of these magnet schools. And long story short, he eventually became an employee of IBM because of those technical skills. So, and she had a whole deal about that idea of upping the skills and helping a person in maybe just one area need. I mentioned personal finance. A lot of missions that we talk to need their people trained in case management. And I told you about one of my favorite courses and the concepts there, so I covered that a little bit. I've got some of the references of some of the slides. If you want more information,